Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Theater Talk for Home. My name is Berk Uzman.
And I'm Nafeesa Monroe, and we are teaching artists for Roundabout Theater Company's Education Department.
We are so thrilled for this production, and hopefully, through this Theater Talk, we can get you excited as well.
Yes. So first we'll start off with a little synopsis of the play, and then we will talk about something that interests us and something that we're curious about as far as the script and the story goes. And
then we'll leave you off with a little quote and a question you can think about as you walk in to see the show.
So let's dive into Home by Samm-Art Williams. So Home got its first production at the Negro Ensemble Company in 1979 and transferred to Broadway in 1980. The play is about a young Black man, Cephus Miles, in rural North Carolina in the late 50s. And it's really about his journey to finding himself, who he is, who he wants to be, through love and other trials. And the journey really is about finding home, right? And I think it's a really wonderful, heartwarming, and life-affirming journey. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
I cannot wait, especially because I know we have a phenomenal creative team behind the scenes. As you mentioned before, Samm-Art Williams is our playwright. And for those of you who don't know, he's led a prolific career as a theater artist. He's been an actor, been a screenwriter, a Tony-nominated playwright, a 2-time Emmy-nominated TV executive producer. And he's even been inducted into the North Carolina Literary Hall of Fame. Yes. Man's got it all.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about his career that spans almost 5 decades, you can find more information on our Upstage guide. On top of that, we also have a fabulous director leading our production, Kenny Leon.
Yes.
Kenny returns to us from 2020's production of A Soldier's Play at Roundabout. And he did the recent revival in 2022 of Top Dog, Underdog.
Right.
Which was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
We're so excited to have him back, and we can't wait to see what work he does in this production.
So, Berk, where did you first encounter the play Home?
Okay, well, if I'm being totally honest, it was when the season reveal announcement came out from Roundabout. I saw it there at the very end of the list, and I was like, oh, Home. I've never heard of this before. And then I found out it was a revival. And I was like, okay, so there's some material that I can go back and look at. So once I had access to the script, I immediately dove right in, and I was engrossed in what I read. Just as you said, it's this lyrical journey through this man's life. And I just haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. And I'm so excited to finally be able to talk to someone about it, because I haven't seen a production. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm so excited to speculate with you.
Me too.
What about you? What was your first encounter with Home?
Well, when I was a little younger, I lived in Los Angeles, and I worked behind the scenes on the television show Martin, which was executive produced by Samm-Art Williams. So he was my boss. And one day I'm at a used bookstore, and I find this book, In the Shadow of the Great White Way, which was a book about Black American theater artists, especially in New York City. And I'm looking through the book, and I see Samm-Art Williams, playwright. And I'm like, whoa. So I march into work the next day, and I go, Samm-Art Williams, how come you never told me you were a playwright? And he looked at me like, girl, I've had a whole career before you were even born. But that sparked up a wonderful friendship and a very unofficial writing mentorship. Home was the first play of his that I read. And then when we had our Roundabout Theater Company's Refocus project, Home was one of the plays that we did a reading of. And so I got to dive back in to read it for the material for the Refocus project. And then I find out we're doing a full production of it. I too have never seen a full production. So I am so excited as you are.
I'm glad it sounds like we're on the same page here.
Absolutely.
But I do have some questions I'm curious about.
Oh, what are you curious about?
Well, for one, this play, for those of you who don't know at home and haven't had the chance to read it yet, it starts with this incredibly specific stage direction. It says that this play lends itself to musicality. It's not a musical, it's just a straight play, but the way that the characters speak and deliver their dialogue has a sort of lyricism to it. And so I was going through it, and I was trying to imagine, like, oh, are they like singing? Is it chanting? Are they like delivering it at a certain rhythm? I couldn't honestly decipher it on my own. I feel like maybe it crosses all 3 of those things or even more. Who knows?
Who knows?
But that's what I was curious for your perspective. Like, how did it sound in your head? What do you think about that sort of stylistic choice to tell the story through musicality?
Yeah. Well, I hear a lot of spirituals. I hear a lot of Black Southern tradition in the writing. But other than that, I don't know. You say you heard things differently. Like, Is there a type of music that the text reminded you of? Or?
I think at the beginning, I had a sort of image in my head that it might be delivered like spoken word poetry.
Absolutely.
Especially when they're giving exposition as just individual characters. That's how it sounded to me. But as we got further along into the text and we had more moments where all of these characters, they would be speaking in unison.
Yeah.
And they would almost be chanting in a way where they would repeat lines over and over again. These songs that we were singing together in unison were the collective tissue, like the thing that was holding all of our history together. It was sort of a history that we shared and could reflect on and learn from together. Yeah. And that was the sort of vibe that I got from those moments specifically.
Yeah. I like that idea of connective tissue that does really speak to the community of the play. Absolutely. And where the character Cephus Miles is in that given moment. That leads to one of the things that I'm super excited about was, as an actor, I really do enjoy the prospect of playing multiple characters in one particular play. Cephus Miles, we know, is one actor and he plays that one character, but he's flanked by two female actors that play basically all the other characters in the show. How each actor brings kind of their unique changes and differences from one character to the next, and how Kenny's going to direct that.
Yeah. It was reminiscent of that classic tradition in Greek theater that we see a lot, where there's a chorus that sort of, follows the narrative along, is there to sort of guide the audience so they know what's going on, provide them with context, but also directly interact in little ways to sort of poke our main character along his path towards his eventual destination. Yeah. Just is very, very similar to that tradition. And I really enjoyed that about this play.
Me too.
So, Nafeesa, how do you think we should wrap up our theater talk?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, one of the things that I would like to say is that in my unofficial mentorship with Samm-Art, we used to talk about writing, and he was a real big believer in the nuance and complexity of humans, and that everybody should write because everybody has a unique point of view. So I found this quote from the New York Times in the 1980s, and it was from an interview with Samm-Art. And they were asking him about writing, and he says, well, all Black characters don't have to be heroes. All Black men do not have to be Black, macho, strong leaders. You can have very sensitive, very kind, and very gentle kinds of Black men. And the more I think about it, the more I know that's Samm-Art Williams. He's one of the gentlest, kindest people I know. But also it speaks to his lead character, Cephus Miles. We really get to see this soft side, this vulnerability behind the hard shell that life makes you put up.
Thank you so much for sharing that quote with us, Nafeesa. That's definitely something I'll be taking to theater with me when I'm on the show. So thank you. I do have a question for all of you out there.
Ooh.
And that is, where do you feel most at home?
Oh, that's a good question. Where do you feel most at home? Well, Roundabout is one of my homes, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
And not just because I work here.
Well, the family that we've created here.
That's the community. And we hope you feel at home here at Roundabout.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us for this Theater Talk discussion. If you have any more questions or curiosities, be sure to check out the Upstage guide, the link below. And keep a lookout for any Theater Plus events on the horizon.
Thank you again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the theater.